Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be an interesting video because as you can probably hear, I have a little bit of a cold, but I still wanted to make a video for you guys. Today we are talking about the relationship between seafood and eczema. Now I want to preface this by saying that not everyone can have seafood. There are some people with severe allergies to shellfish and other seafood, and if that's the case, please avoid eating it. But for the majority of people, we can actually tolerate it quite a bit. And with that being said, it's actually extremely beneficial for eczema. So shellfish in particular are fantastic for eczema. They are loaded with nutrients that are packed full of everything that you need to heal. So a major aspect of eczema is that it's an autoimmune disorder. Immune meaning immune system. So it's an immune system issue, and because of that we have to work to repair our immune systems. Well, nutrients like iron and zinc, B12, all of these work amazingly to heal our immune systems. Eczema is also an extremely inflammatory problem. We have lots of inflammation in our body. That's where the redness comes from. Your skin may be raised. That's where that comes from. The spreading of it, all of that's inflammation. And important nutrients like vitamin D and omega-3 found in things like salmon work to reverse that. So we're going to get into the key nutrients that each food has and how you can implement it into your diet. So let's start off by talking about fatty fish. So what do I mean by fatty fish? So certain fish carries a lot of fat in it, and so fat's not always a bad thing. Omega-3 fatty acids is a fat, and that's a very fantastic thing for our bodies. So fatty fish is salmon, sardines, anchovy, mackerel, trout. A non-fatty fish would include things like tilapia, flounder, cod's a whitefish. And so instead of consuming those fish, I highly encourage those with eczema to eat fatty fish. So what you can do is you can get sardines, and they're packed in a can, and you should find them when they're just put in water and maybe sea salt. You don't want them packed in olive oil. You also don't want the sardines to be smoked. So sardines are very small fish. They're about this long. What I like to do with them is, since I've already healed my eczema, I kind of have a broad range of things that I can eat. So one of my favorite things to do is I take these square rice cakes, I put smashed avocado on them, and then I just put a little sardine across them like this. And that I actually eat for breakfast, and I think it's really good. So another thing you can do is, if sardines aren't your thing, if they kind of freak you out, you can do salmon. Really easy to make. I have a couple videos floating around that actually show you my one pan salmon dish. And that one pan salmon dish, basically all you have to do is you take like a square pan with raised sides, so like maybe an 8x8 pan, and you'll just cover it in vegetables. You'll put a little bit of water, maybe 1/4 of a cup. You can put a little bit of coconut oil too, and then you just plop the salmon right on top and do nothing, and that's it. You pop it in the oven, you cook it for like 15 minutes. To make sure it's done, you can take a fork and check the inside. If it's still pink, like very pink, it's not done, but if it starts to flake a little bit, that means it's done. So I do have a video floating around somewhere where I do show you the one pan salmon. Moving on to shellfish, and the number one shellfish that, if you can eat shellfish, you should include this into your diet, and that is oysters. I cannot rave enough about oysters. They are so fantastic for you for so many different reasons. First off, they're very easy to make. What you want to look for is, if you live in America, you can go to a Whole Foods and you go straight to the back of the store, and they have all of the shellfish and fish in a case. And so you go over and you have to make sure that they're wild caught. You have to make sure all the seafood that you're getting is wild caught. And I'll explain why a little bit later, because I don't want to deviate too far from our oysters. So go to the back. They usually have, the ones that I get are called live blue point oysters, I'm pretty sure, and they're amazing. And so you're gonna ask the clerk for maybe like 5 to 10. You don't really need a lot. And what they're gonna do is they'll give you a bag. They're gonna put ice in the bag, and then they're gonna put the oysters in a bag. If they tie a knot, you need to undo the knot because the oysters actually need to breathe. So no bag can suffocate it. Don't close the bag. Keep the bag nice and open. And so you transport it, you get home, and then you cook them. And they're so easy to make. So you basically take a pan. You can actually do them a lot of ways. Steaming them is probably the best option because it keeps all the flavor inside the oyster. But if you're lazy like I am, I usually just take a frying pan, I fill it with 1/4 of a cup of water or so. You just want to fill it up maybe 1 inch. And then I put all of the oysters down into the pan and I boil it. So as soon as it starts boiling, you can reduce the heat and you'll start to see that the oysters will open up. So they just like crack themselves open, and that's how you get to the meat. If it's not open, keep steaming them, keep cooking them, kind of hit them on the counter a little bit, and then eventually they'll open up. So once they open up, you can open them further. What I used to do is take a fork and twist it and then open it, and that makes it a lot easier. And then you can just take your fork and scoop it out. One thing you could do is I actually have a recipe for a gut healing soup. Go check that out because my clients have had some serious results using that soup. You can take these oysters, put it into the soup, or if you like the taste of oysters, you can just eat them straight like I do. You can also put them into other dishes. So there's lots of things that you can do. But the most important part about these oysters is their nutrient profile. I have not seen another thing that has as much iron and zinc as oysters. Oysters are like, even beef, you would think that beef would have a lot of iron in it. Oysters beat it. I went around the store and I kept looking because sometimes I dip into having like an iron deficiency, especially when I was vegan, I had issues with it. But now, sometimes if you feel very fatigued, it could be an iron deficiency, especially if you don't consume a lot of meat. So eating oysters can really help you there. So I was searching around the store, I kept looking, I found some oysters, I saw how much iron was in it, I went to go check the beef. It just doesn't have as much iron, which is crazy. And they're also really high in zinc. Zinc is fantastic for the immune system, and it also really helps with men's health. One thing about iron is, what iron does is it helps with red blood cells. So it helps get all of your blood circulating around your body. All of these things are fantastic for healing. So that's why I'm a huge proponent of oysters. If you don't like oysters, try mussels, try clams. They are all some really nutrient-dense shellfish. So try those. I do like shrimp. They are very high in protein. If you're someone who tracks macros and you find it very important to get the amount of protein you need, even though I don't fully agree, I do want to give you an option. Shrimp is extremely high in protein, very low in carbs and fat. So if you want some extra protein, shrimp are fantastic. You can make some shrimp tacos. That's also on my channel somewhere. I make shrimp tacos for you guys. Also, you can branch out into other seafoods. So if you're adventurous, you can actually have squid. You could buy calamari steaks from Whole Foods. And basically, you'll chop it up, you'll put it in a bowl, and just like kelp noodles, you'll have to process it with like baking soda and vinegar, and it softens it so that it's not extremely chewy. And then you could just throw it in a stir fry, cook it up for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then it comes out super tender. Squid, for some reason, actually has a lot of B12 in it. B12 is so important for energy. So all of these micronutrients are the key to your health. Don't focus on macros, don't focus on how much fat, carbs, protein you get. Focus on, are you getting enough micronutrients? And seafood is packed full of it. So all of this is going to lead to you healing. So you'll try these foods, you'll go to bed, you'll wake up, and your skin will probably look better. Make sure you're eating a whole foods, clean diet, and your skin is sure to heal. Another seafood that you can try is sea scallops. So if you're lucky enough, there are Vietnamese restaurants around, especially where I live. And if you go to a Vietnamese restaurant, they usually serve pho. It's spelled P-H-O, typically pronounced pho, not pho. And you go to these restaurants, and what pho is, it's a big bowl of bone broth. It has rice noodles, it has bean sprouts, so you can choose what type of meat you want in it. Well, if you're lucky enough to have a good Vietnamese restaurant, you can actually get seafood pho. So there's one down the street from me, and in the seafood pho, they have squid, scallops, shrimp, and after eating that, I feel fantastic. You can even make this from home. Make yourself some bone broth. I have a video on that. And put rice noodles in it, put your seafood in it, put those sea scallops in it, and create a nutrient-packed meal. Bone broth is super important because it has collagen and it has glycine in it. Glycine's an amino acid that'll help you sleep. So, check out some seafood if you can tolerate it. You know, if you're you've never really tried it before, start with salmon. Make sure it's cooked all the way through. That's kind of the easiest to start people off with, and then you can branch out from there. So I wish you guys the best of luck healing. Thank you for putting up with my voice in this video. I actually just got over the flu. I will say, trying to recover from the flu is not exactly the easiest thing. I used to actually get the flu quite often. You'll probably notice that if you have eczema, you get sick very easily. It's a whole cycle in itself. I can make a whole video on it. When I used to have eczema, I would get the flu. It's very hard to heal both. But I use a supplement called Wellness Formula. But the truth is, the flu kind of just has to run its course. You have to get a lot of rest, drink bone broth as well, and you'll get over it. So just a little side thing for you guys. So I wish you guys the best, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!
I like crashing waves, but I wanna see them at first light.